Daf Kuf Hey Amud Aleph, 3 lines from the top. Rav Chananya Bar Shalmaya with Hamid the Rav Haviyas Basudos. They were all sitting together at a meal. It was Friday afternoon. They call Alai Rav Amnuna Sava, and he was serving them. Omrulei, they said to him, Zil Chalze Makdishema. Go see if it became Shabbos. If it's dark and already became Shabbos. And if that's the case, Nafsek v'nikveh l'shabsa. And if that's the case, we'll stop the meal. And the way the Rashbam learns it, we'll stop the meal, we'll be Eiker Shulchan, we'll remove the tray, remove the food, and now we'll start and we'll now make Kiddush and make the rest and make this now a new Suda for Shabbos. Meaning we'll stop the previous Suda, the Friday afternoon Suda, we'll be Eiker Shulchan, like Rav Yehuda says that he paskins, be Eiker Shulchan, make Kiddush, and bring back the food, and that the Suda will be especially for Shabbos. Omar Lahu, Rav Amnuna said to them, Lo yitzrichi, so you don't have to. Shabbos kava lenashe. Shabbos establishes its own meal. When Shabbos comes, you can't eat before Kiddush. That interrupts the previous meal, and therefore you don't have to be Eiker Shulchan. So the way the Rashbam learns is, meaning he doesn't pass on the Rav Yehuda, he passes like Shmuel. And therefore he says, you don't have to be Eiker Shulchan, you don't have to be Eiker Shulchan and bench, and then start a new meal. All you have to do is be Peiris Mapik, cover the food, and make Kiddush, and you can continue. So that's the way the Rashbam learns, is that it is a Shaila, how we paskin like Rav Yehuda or Shmuel. That's the way the Rashbam learns. The Rif learns differently, however. He learns that they both agree that the halacha is like Shmuel and you only have to be Peiris Mapa. The shaila is, do you have to wait till it's completely dark to do it, to make the Shabbos Suda? Or right at the beginning, you don't have to wait till it's completely dark. When it's Benish Moshes, you're ready, you're Peiris Suda and you're Peiris Mapa, and you make Kiddush and continue the Suda. And that's what he told them, that Shabbos Kavil Nafsha, you don't have to wait. So we say that Shabbos gives it that chashivas, that Lotzruchizu Shabbat Kavil Nafsha. Do Amar Rav said Geshem Shabbos Kavas L'Maiser, just like Shabbos is Kavil L'Maiser. What does that mean? Maiser, something you're chayiv in Maiser, and you can't eat it, it's tevel, and you can't eat it without taking meiser, something where the produce has already been processed, where the processing is completed. So therefore, with midaraisa, that's the point in time where it becomes tevel, and you cannot eat it without taking meisers. Prior to that time, you could eat it without taking the meisers, prior to the completion of the processing. But the Rabbanan said that's only achilas arai, only a snack, but not a suda, not a complete meal. But when Shabbos comes, Shabbos gives it that chashivas, that everything that we eat for Shabbos is a mitzvah, it's a part of Einik Shabbos, so even a snack is chashiv, so even to snack, even achilas arai, you can't eat on the Shabbos without having the meiser taken first, without prior taking the meisers. So just like Shabbos, just like Shabbos, that where you can't even eat the achilas arai without being mafish the meisers, the Suda of Shabbos, the eating of Shabbos gives it that chashivas. Kach Shabbos kavas l'kiddush. So it's also kavas l'kiddush, and therefore we say that it's the way Levi the Rashbam learns is that, and therefore we say that the Suda is therefore has that chashivas, that what we're eating on Shabbos has the chashivas of a Shabbos Suda. Therefore, you don't have to be Eiker Shulchan and bench and then start anew, because you're not allowed to eat prior to making Kiddush. What you eat now, after Kiddush, has a chashivas of a Shabbos Suda, even without being Eiker Shulchan and making and benching. So therefore he said, Kach Shabbos Kavas L'Kiddush. So Savra Minah, they thought, the Talmid of Rav thought to make a diuk from this, that Ki Heicha de Kavah L'Kiddush, just like it's Kavah L'Kiddush, and therefore we say that you have to stop eating the Friday meal, make Kiddush, and then you can continue Kach Kavah L'Havdalah. So too, it's Kaveh L'Havdalah. And therefore, if your person is eating a shalshudas, he's eating a suda on Shabbos afternoon, if it extends into Motzei Shabbos, similarly, you'd have to stop the suda, make havdalah before continuing. But Amr Lahu Rav Amram, he said, no, Hachi Amar Rav, Lekiddush Koivas, Veloil Havdalah Koivas. But it's not Koivas for Havdalah. You do not have to stop the Shabbos meal to make Havdalah. Because really, the way Rashbam explains it, as far as just Pumfakir, that the Shabbos meal is Choshev. So we don't have to stop the Shabbos meal in order to make Havdalah. You have to interrupt the Erev Shabbos meal, the Friday meal. You have to interrupt that to make Kiddush and then continue and make the rest of the eatings designated specifically for Shabbos. But the Shabbos meal, there's eating the Shabbos meal that continues the Motzai Shabbos, you don't have to interrupt that because the covenant of Shabbos is not to interrupt the Shabbos meal. So therefore, you do not have to stop the meal to make Havdalah. But that's only insofar as we don't have to stop and interrupt the Shabbos meal. You can continue eating. But if it's already Motzai Shabbos and to start a meal, you can't start a meal until you make Havdalah first. Now this that we say that you don't have to stop and interrupt the meal, that's only for Achila if you're eating a Suda. But as far as drinking, that's not the case. If you weren't eating a meal, you were just drinking, and it's not Motzei Shabbos, then you have to stop before making Havdalah. But not that we said that that's only for as far as something choshev like wine or beer, something of that nature. There we say either there's different opinions in the Achronim and how to learn on that, whether it's the Marsha and the Arshash and different Achronim, some Sefer. That's meaning we only say that Ushtiya Nami Loyam, that either if you're drinking the meal, on Shabbos, you started drinking on Shabbos, it extends into Motzei Shabbos, that you have to stop. Or that we say, if it's Motzei Shabbos, you cannot start to drink. That's only by these choshev beverages. Aval Maya, less ba. But as far as water is concerned, then even if it's Motzei Shabbos, and to start to drink, you can drink water. Water doesn't have the chashiva, so therefore you do not have to wait for Havdalah first. Upligi the Rav Huna, but that's Rav Huna argues at that because Rav Huna chazil lahu gav the shasamayka in Havdalah. He saw a person who was drinking water before Havdalah. Amr lahu loy misaf amar ma'askara. Aren't you afraid of being punished with askara for diphtheria for drinking before Havdalah? So, as Taisus explains, the drinking before Havdalah, it's also the drink before Havdalah. If a person drinks and puts things in his throat, and he satisfies his desire to put something in his throat and drink something, the punishment for that is that he'll have this disease with the infection in the throat, this choking disease of askara. So he said to him, "You're drinking before Havdalah, aren't you afraid of askara?" The Tan Mishmei the Rav Akiva Kolatoim Klum Kodim She'Havdalah Misasa Ba'askara. Anyone who even tastes something before Havdalah, Motzei Shabbos before Havdalah, the punishment is Misa, death from askara. But Rabbana, the Be'er Vashi, like Kapte Maya, they say, but water, they hold that water is not choshev, and therefore there's no isser on that before Havdalah. So to have something choshev to eat or drink before Havdalah is also, but water not. A new shaila, boy, Minei Rabbeinu Rav Nachman Yitzchak, Mi Shalei Kiddush B'Erev Shabbos. If a person didn't make Kiddush on La Shabbos night, Ma'u She'Kadosh V'Hoila Kol Yom Kula. Can he make the Kiddush the next day? Now we of course have Kiddush Friday night, we have Kiddush on Shabbos, but the Kiddush on Shabbos is only a Boyer Priyagofen. It's not the Kiddush, the Nusach of Kiddush of Mekadesh Shabbos. The question is if he didn't make the Kiddush, the long form, the full Kiddush on Friday night, does he make it on Shabbos? Omer later of Nachman said to him, the Omri b'nei Rabbi Chia. They said, Mishaloi Hivdul Motzei Shabbos, Mavdul Hailach Kol Shabbos Kulai, even though you're supposed to make Havdalah Motzei Shabbos, and that's the ideal time to make it. But if you don't, you can continue, and even until Tuesday night. So it says Kol Shabbos Kula, it doesn't mean the entire week, it means the coming week, until Tuesday night. So even though you're supposed to make Kiddush on Leil Shabbos, but it's still Shabbos, and therefore you can still make Kiddush during the next day. Eisvei asked the Kasha, it says in the Baraisa, Leil Shabbos Leil Yontav, Shabbos night, Yontav night, Yesh Mem Kiddush Alakayis, you make Kiddush Alakayis, meaning the full Kiddush. Alakayis v'yesh b'hem askar v'berachas hamazon, and in benching, you make mention, Iritzei, or Yala v'yava, you make mention of the day in bench. So Shabbos Yontav ain't behem Kiddush Alakayis. But on the daytime of Shabbos and Yontav, we don't make the full Kiddush Alakayis. We don't make the full Kiddush Alakayis. But v'yesh b'hem askar v'berachas hamazon, but we do make mention of the day in benching. Now, if you're going to say that of a person who did not make Kiddush on Friday night, he makes Kiddush the next day, the full Kiddush the next day, well then Shabbos v'yontav nami mishkachas lu yesham Kiddush alakais. Then you can still find the case of the daytime of Shabbos and Yontav, there's a Kiddush alakais, because in case if he didn't mention it on the night before, he would be mechuyev to mention it during the day. If you didn't make Kiddush in the evening, makes Kiddush the next day. So doesn't that show you that you don't make Kiddush the next day? Amar Le, Rav Nachman Yisuk said to them, no, it's not a riot, because it's not talking about a b'di'evedike case. It's not talking about the case where something was done improperly and then you're doing it as a result of something that was not done properly. The price is dealing in the proper way, the ideal way it should be done, so you can't bring a raya from here. And as we'll see, continuing in the next moment, the more will continue the discussion.